You know what this scarf feels like? It feels like it is made with Angora yarn, especially this white end right here. It feels like I'm touching a white fluffy rabbit. But it is not Angora. In fact, it is acrylic. The yarn that I used for the scarf is Caron Colorama Halo. Actually, this yarn is acrylic, nylon and polyester blend. I think this is quite an interesting and unique yarn, but with it comes the challenging question of what would I crochet with it? And I think this simple stitch with only one repeating row works quite well for this yarn. The finished measurements of this scarf worked with 1 cake of Caron Colorama Halo are 68 inches long and 9.5 inches wide. To make the scarf, I will use 1 cake of Caron Colorama Halo. This specific color is Lavender Frost and a hook size I 5.5 millimeters. The multiple for this stitch is 2, so you can start with any even amount of stitches. I'm going to start with 30. Here I have 30 stitches, chain stitches, and I'm ready to start the first row. Now you can work into the chains or you can work into the back humps of the chain, and that would create a nicer edge. So it's really up to you. I'm going to work into the back humps of the chain. So into the second chain from the hook, I'm going to make a single crochet. We never count the chain on the hook, we always start counting from the next one. So 1, 2, and into this chain, but into the back hump, I make a single crochet. Now I insert the hook into this same hump where I already made single crochet, and I draw up a loop. Now into the next chain, again I'm working into the back hump, I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Now I have a total of 3 loops on the hook, and I'm gonna do it one more time. Into the next chain, through the back hump, I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Now I have 4 loops on the hook. I do yarn over and draw yarn through all of them. Now I make 1 chain, and here is a little pretty stitch that I made. I'm going to do the same thing. First, I insert the hook into the chain, and in my case I'm working through the back humps where the last stitch was made. So right here, draw up a loop, and then into the next stitch insert the hook, draw up a loop, and into the next stitch again. It's quite small and difficult to see on this chain. Through the back hump, insert the hook and draw up a loop. Now I have a total of 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, and I draw yarn through all of them, and then 1 chain. And that's how I continue crocheting this row. First I insert the hook into the stitch where I already worked the last stitch, draw up a loop, and then the next 2 stitches, through those stitches I draw up 2 loops again, and then yarn over, pass through all of them, and 1 chain. And that's how I'm going to continue crocheting this row all the way across. And here at the end of the row, I have 2 chains left, and I do the same thing. So this is where I make the last stitch with 3 loops, and then 1 chain, and into this last chain I'm also going to work a single crochet because I want to have a nice straight edge. So the first row is finished. I turn my work and I start the next row with 1 chain, and I'm going to skip the next stitch. This is actually the very first stitch of the row right here, so I'm skipping it, and I will be working into this stitch where 3 loops were worked together. So into that stitch I make a single crochet, and now I continue crocheting the same way as before. Into the same stitch I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Into the next stitch I insert the hook and draw up a loop, and into the next stitch again I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Now I have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, and I do 1 chain. And now again into the stitch where the last stitch was worked I insert the hook, draw up a loop. Into the next stitch I insert the hook, draw up a loop, and into the next stitch again I insert the hook and draw up a loop. Now yarn over, and I finish all those stitches together, and I need to remember to make 1 chain after all those 3 stitches finished together. And I continue crocheting this way all the way across. And now at the end of the row I make 1 more stitch with 3 loops, finish them all together, 1 chain, and into the very last stitch I make also 1 single crochet. I turn my work, and all I need to do now is to repeat the second row. So I start with 1 chain, I skip the very first stitch right here, and into the next one, that's where the 3 stitches were finished together, I insert the hook and draw up a loop and make a single crochet. And then into this same stitch I insert the hook, draw up a loop. Into the next stitch insert the hook, draw up a loop, and into the next one insert the hook, draw up a loop, and finish those stitches together and make 1 chain. So this row is the same as row number 2, and that's all I'm going to do to crochet this scarf. And here I crocheted more rows, and you can see what the stitch looks like. Quite simple stitch, but quite lovely, and I think it works very well with this yarn. So I kept crocheting. This is how much yarn I have left. Now I can fasten off and hide the yarn tails on both ends. And this scarf is very quick to make. You can make it in 1, maximum 2 days.